How's it going, my fellow tamers? I know it's been a minute since I've sat down and done a deck list of any kind, or opened a box, or done anything. Just kind of had life get in the way a little bit here recently, but you know, it happens. We're all good. I have been playing the game. It has been fun. And today we're going to talk about a deck that's a little behind the times, given that, you know, EX2's way out, and today we get to release the BT9 and X record. But I haven't yet sat down and figured out what kind of things I want to do for my changes for my decks. Obviously, I got the Black War Greymon deck that I need to upgrade with Yaamons. My X-Antibody deck that is a lot of fun I've been playing, that I need to figure out how I want to go play it going forward, get ready for the Store Championships coming up in August. But for now, we're just going to talk about the EX2 deck that I've been playing. I didn't build Galmon because a buddy of mine did. That would have been a blast. But I did decide to go ahead and play Beelzemon, although a little different than most Beelzemon lists, because I wanted to see if I could find a way to get a good cohesion between BeelStar and Beelzemon in the same deck. And so that's what I did here, and that's what I want to talk about today. So talking about it, we got our eggs. We got 4 copies of the EX2 Yaamon. Obviously, why would we not use Yaamon? He is the egg for Impmon and everything like that. Technically, I know Demimera is always the greatest purple Digi egg. I love it. We all love it. Draw discard on deletion is just great. And especially when we want to delete all our dudes. Anyways, it's great. I love it. But this deck's more or less a wannabe thematic in some aspects. Not all, but some. And Yaamon is the egg to go with. And so to make a 5th egg, I put the BT2 Yaamon in here, because this ability is basically the same, just using different numbers. You know, this one takes 5 or more cards of the trash to give a plus 1k boost. This one is 10 or more cards to get a 2k boost. Obviously this one's better, because you will have 10 or more cards in your trash. But it's always nice just to have that egg if you want it, and it's basically not that big a difference, and the 1k is still relevant, as we have all seen when playing decks like Agumon, or not Agumon, but War Greymon. That 1k comes in handy, comes in clutch. You never know when you're going to need it. So for our rookies, we're playing 4 copies of the EX2 Impmon. Obviously, we want this card to dig for our Beelzemon. We want this card to dig for our Memory Tamer and Ai Mako. And it's just fundamentally good, because if we mill this card, we get to mill 3 more cards. And I guess, you know, using mill, I play a lot of Magic. It's fundamentally a concept that a lot of people have issues with using terminology from other games for things. But functionally, in my mind, trashing from the deck is milling. It helps me to ignore the ruling issues with cards like, oh, when you trash this card from so-and-so, do this. Well, if I think of it in terms of mill, I don't confuse it with when I reveal cards and then trash some of the cards. And there are little ruling hiccups like that that I think are cleaned up when you think of it in terms that you are accustomed to with other games. Then we got obviously we got our boy, BT2 Impmon. This card has never been a bad card. Always great. This card is literally, I'm going to punch you in the face because I want this card deleted. Whether I'm deleting it myself or punching somebody's security, even if this card doesn't get deleted, which is always sad, because why do purple cards have jamming? You know, it's still great because you're still ticking down your opponent's security. You're still putting the pressure on and making them have to play in a somewhat defensive stance. Because if this card survives, it means you can punch with it again. It means they have to worry about you having more than one Digimon on the field. Things like that. And if it does die, you trash the top 3 cards from the top of your deck, which then starts the loop for the deck, starts what the deck wants to do. And so this card is always great. It was great in BeelStar, it's great in Beelzemon, it's great in any purple deck that, you know, just wants to trash cards. Then to finish up our rookies, we're playing 3 copies of the BT6 Impmon. And this card is absolutely important for the fact that when we're trashing our entire deck, throwing our entire deck into the trash, it is important to note that we will occasionally not have the Mega we need. We will not have the level 6. It is important to note this card cannot grab Blast Mode, as this card says 7 Great Demon Lords, I believe. Yeah. It's 7 Great Demon Lords and 3 Musketeers, which means Blast Mode cannot be grabbed because Blast Mode is simply a Demon Lord. But we don't really care that much. It just means we're relying on Dobermon and to use Ai Mako to play it from the trash, which is the ideal anyways. But this card does get back my BeelStarmons, this card does get back Beelzemon, and that's what's important. Speaking of Dobermon, it brings us to our level 4s, where we are running 3 copies of Dobermon and 3 copies of Soulmon. Now going forward, looking at BT10, looking at how I might change this to straight, I'll probably end up changing it to straight Beelzemon and not playing the fun little Beelzemon combo thing I'm doing right now. I will probably try and find a way to put in the Wizardmon. I just haven't sat down and thought about how to put in the new promo Wizardmon, given that I only have 1 copy right now, and so it's still a work in progress, still working on it. It's a thought process. But we are playing Dobermon. Anybody who's looked at any of the top any of the Japanese lists, any of the top meta lists for Beelzemon, understand why Dobermon's so uber good. This card is on deletion way. This card is just another way to use the BT6 Impmon, but with the added benefit that I can dump cards in the trash. This card can also get itself back by the nature of its ability. Unlike most on deletion effects, where if you remove it from the graveyard, you don't get the effect. Well, this effect is in the middle of resolving when you get the card back, so you can get it back with itself, which isn't necessarily great, but it is kind of neat that you can do that, and in certain situations it's kind of relevant. And then the Soulmon is nice to have because if I have Soulmon digivolved into a level 5, then when I trash cards from my deck, I gain a memory, and we all know that any incremental memory gain is great and important in the game and helps us, to beat our opponent. Because the more resources we have, the better it is, and the less resources our opponent has, the better that is. So I'm only running the 6 level 4s due to the fact I'm running the BeelStar line, so we're kind of just turboing out Megas anyways. We don't really care about going all the way up the chain, but we are still running 6 in the level 5 slot as well. We are running 3 of the BT3 LadyDevimon. This card's always great. When you digivolve into this, draw 2, discard 2. Feels great, especially when I'm playing BeelStarmon stuff, where I draw 2 and look at it, it's like, oh, well, I have these, I don't want these in hand, I want to ditch these 7-drop options so that my BeelStarmon is cheaper. So it's good, it gives me card advantage, stuff like that. Always a great card, always feels good to digivolve into, and always great. And then I'm choosing to use the EX1 LadyDevimon as well. What makes this one so great to me is that you get to decide, hey, right here, obviously I need a level 5. Because going into the EX2 Beelzemon, you need to have a level 5 to go into, to digivolve into, unless you want hard play, which is typically a bad idea, but Megazoo does get there sometimes. But this card set is, when digivolving, you may trash the top 3 cards, and this just is a good choice. It's good to be able to control when and if you trash the top 3 cards, because I've seen a lot of guys go and play the deck and not know how to pilot it, playing Beelzemon, playing different variations of Beelzemon, and they end up trashing their whole deck, and then they don't, and then they lose. I actually personally have lost to the fact that I didn't think about it, but my Impmon dying forced me to trash the last cards in my deck, and then I lost because I drew from an empty deck during draw. And that was a mistake on my part. It was a misplay I totally overlooked. Didn't even think about, and it was just a miscalculation. So these cards like this, where it's a controlled way to trash the top 3, are absolutely ideal, and I very much like having this card. And I also like having this card as a inherited effect because, like the Soulmon, it is a gain memory when I play an option card, or when I play a Digimon from the trash. So when I play like Nailbone with BeelStar, I get a memory back and things like that. Or if I play this card, Digivolve into BT6 Beelzemon, Mill 2, and one of those is not BT6 Beelzemon, EX2 Beelzemon, and I mill an Impmon, or not, I mill an Impmon, mill 3 more, and then I mill another Beelzemon. Well, I can then play an Impmon. Well, if I play that Impmon, then I get this trigger and get a memory. Plus, if this is on top of a Soulmon, then I gain 2 memory from that whole interaction. And so it's just a really useful, good card to have in both the inherited and its when digivolving effect. But like I said, we're mostly turboing out megas, so we don't, or we're pseudo kind of turboing out megas, so we really don't need that many in the level 4 and level 5 slots. And so, like, with our megas, we're going 3 of the EX2 Beelzemon because of the fact we're not trying to digivolve up a line too frequently. So we only run 3 of these. They are still great. They are still amazing, especially if you start to get like your whole deck in your trash. This effect just pops whatever you need it to pop. It's great because it's a win attacking. It's great when it's a win digivolving. It's just always a good ability. We're running 3 copies of BeelStarmon because, like I said, I wanted to try and pair Beelzemon and BeelStarmon together in a deck, see how well it could work. Then I'm running 2 copies of the BT2 Secret Rare Beelzemon. And this card is just sweet because you just warp Digivolve into it. You go play an Impmon. I have 10 cards in trash. I play Beelzemon. I pop one of your... I pop your level 4 or level 3. You know, so it's just nice to have. You go to Mega really quick, and then you have the benefit that you have a level 6 Beelzemon out for your Ai Mako. You have, or a, you know, so you can go into blast mode quickly and stuff like that. And it's just a nice way to turbo out blast mode. It's a nice way to go on about it, and it's always this ability for when digivolving ability is always a relevant thing, you know, with, you know, effect blocker, with the miscellaneous effects that block things, from the new ones that block playing things by effect, the ones that block cost reduction, the ones that block memory gain. All these things are relevant to hit, and these are good ways to get rid of those. Obviously, the BeelStarmons, the goal is to hard play them every time, because you want to, even if you're playing this card for 12, you're playing 19. You're playing a total of 19 memory for 12. I mean, it's just all value all the time, no matter how much you have to pay to play it. And so it's just always a good card, always good to play. And it's great to play those cards, Trump Sword, Fly Bullet, Nailbone, to get rid of problems, to get guys back. You know, using a Nailbone to get back Impmons and stuff is always good. Stuff like that. And so that's our level 6 lineup, bringing us to, obviously, our level 7s playing Blast Modes. We're running 3 copies of Blast Mode. This card is great. This card is hopefully in our trash and being played with Ai Mako. That is the ideal way to go about it. But sometimes we do have to hard digivolve this card. And honestly, hard digivolving this card for 6 on top of a BeelStarmon or on top of a Beelzemon is not that bad. In fact, it's still good. because he still gets his ability to just pop all your dudes, like all your opponent's biggest dudes, and that is always a good thing. It's always good to be able to eliminate threats like that. And at the end of the day, it's worth it to have it in your hand sometimes. If you don't have the Ai Mako, if you don't have the Beelzemon ready to easily get it out of your bin. But having it in hand can be rough, but it's not a bad thing to have to digivolve into the hard way. So then we got Tamers. We have 3 copies of Ai Mako. I don't necessarily like the 4 copies, but that's because I'm running 2 copies of Alice. And that, you know, it's kind of a give and take there. I've thought about going to 1 copy of Alice and stuff like that. The Alice is semi-relevant for, you know, if you want to hard play your Dobermon is nice. Playing it for 3 because with an Ai Mako out, playing Dobermon for 3 feels good. And then if you're digivolving, and this card can be used to reduce the digivolution cost by deleting Dobermon, trashing more cards from your deck, getting back a useful card is always good, always useful. And I do like the interaction with Alice and Dobermon that the deck as a whole uses to get back, you know, get back my BeelStarmon, get back my Beelzemon, get back, you know, an Impmon maybe I need for some reason. And it's just a very useful interaction. It's very fun and interactive. I can also use it to delete, you know, my Impmon for that matter. That says trash 3 cards if I want to. If I just want to trash them and get nothing back. Or I don't have the Dobermon. And so it's just useful to have Alice and stuff like that. Obviously, we play Ai Mako. Not only is it thematic, it also is how we play our blast modes from the trash. And so it is also a memory setter, so it's always good. Thought about playing a good old Matt, but to get cards back. But ultimately, between Dobermon and Impmon, I get enough ability to get cards back from the bin anyways that it's not that big a deal. So option cards, we're running 2 copies of Mist Memory Boost, trash 2, draw a card. Feels good, and then we have a memory boost for later. Feels good to have a memory boost in security. Anytime a memory boost is useful, it's great. We like them. Always fun. We're running 1 copy of Death Slinger because I personally could not run a Beelzemon specific card like that in this deck. But I didn't have room with the BeelStar package to run more with the way I decided to run it. But this card is useful. This card does mill into being a extra memory. It does kill a lot of things very easily in a deck that trashes your whole deck. So there's that. Then we look at our BeelStar package. We're running 3 Trump Swords, 2 Nailbone, and 3 Fly Bullet. So I chose not to use any Happy Bullet Showerings. I know some people who have tried to do this run that. I believe I've seen a guy use Gwalt Shormer too. And personally, I think it's too clunky to try and use those because they rely on having BeelStarmon. And that's not my goal here. My goal here is to have cards like Fly Bullet and Trump Sword to answer things when I need answers, and Fly Bullet to be able to get back Impmons to kind of, and Dobermon to get my deck flowing faster, flowing the way I want to, and make sure I don't ever hit a point where I don't have the piece I need, where I don't have the level 4, or I don't have the level 3, or I don't have enough of my trash for that matter. Being able to reoccur the Dobermon and the Impmon that allow me to trash more cards or milk more cards, however you want to view it, is beneficial in a lot of ways. And so these cards are incremental usage, and the idea is I'm not trying to turbo out BeelStar, but if I do, I have benefits every play. I hard play her, she's great, she's a body, and I get Fly Bullet, or I get Nailbone, or I get Trump Sword. Well, if my opponent has a dude who needs to be killed, I have Trump Sword and Fly Bullet. if my opponent doesn't, I can hard play a BeelStarmon, play a Nailbone, get a Dobermon and Impmon, and that's a grand total of using, max 12 memory to get 20, what is it, 8 plus 19, it's 27 memory worth of value. And it's just so good. It's so valuable to play. I loved playing BeelStarmon and BT6. Played the actual 3 Musketeers. Well, I didn't run Magnakidmon, but I did run Gundramon. I still like that deck. Actually, I still have that deck put together. Although I pulled the BeelStarmons out and put them in this deck for the moment. But love that deck. Love the way it played. Always felt good when I played it. And I've never really had an issue with it. This deck did pretty well for me at Locals a couple weeks ago. I did end up losing to another Beelzemon deck in round 3. But ultimately the reason was that we went to 3 games and he just hit better hits on hit when he went and trashed cards from his deck. And he was playing kind of he was playing a Golfmon variation. And so it was a little different. It was different, and really it just came down to who hit better cards when they managed to trash cards from their deck. So that's my list for Beelzemon / BeelStarmon, and I think it's great fun. I think it's a very fun deck, and it's a good way to combine the two. It flows pretty well. It rolls pretty good, and I haven't actually seen too many issues where I've bricked or had an issue with the cards I've drawn. Mostly because I'm trying to turbo out Beelstar and Beelzemon anyways, so like when I play an Impmon to swing it to get trash, or I'm trying to build my trash, the only real issue is when I'm not seeing cards to trash cards from my deck, and then I'm like, well, I guess I need to draw I gotta draw something, so I gotta Digivolve a little further than I'd like to sometimes, a little early. But most of the deck runs pretty good. I've had very few games that felt bad playing it. It's definitely a fun deck, and I love Beelzemon, I love BeelStarmon, and I'll play them any chance I get. BT10 comes out, and it brings more Beelzemon cards. I will probably switch to playing a straight Beelstar and a straight Beelzemon deck at that point, just so I keep having Beelzemon and keep having Beelstar. Because these are decks I'm committed to trying getting the Altarts for, as you can see. Already have 3 blast modes. But I do love them, and it is fun. So, if you like the list, like, subscribe. Sorry I haven't put in videos recently. Please provide me with comments, questions, concerns, advice on changes to the deck. Like I said, I got the new promo Wizardmon to put in the deck. And please offer suggestions for other decks to build. I'm more than happy to throw together and try and make lists for various decks, especially less mainstream decks. I know this one's mostly mainstream, and I try not to I try to keep back on those a little bit. But like Blackboard Greymon is probably my favorite Digimon ever, so I couldn't help but build that and show it off the mainstream. I haven't shown my X to anybody, but I'm kind of in the same boat as Blackboard Greymon. The Dobermon and Rudamon are my 2 favorite rookies. So I kind of got stuck building that, even though it ended unintentionally being playing a top meta deck for that reason. I guess the US doesn't have it as a top meta deck, but it's still a great deck. And in fact, I 3-0'd with it just the other day in our locals. And so just pop out deck lists you'd like to see, and I'll see what I can do to help. Have a good day, guys.